Recently, Hangang won Nobel Prize, and now I'm going to talk about another woman who won Nobel Prize, who is Rachel L. Carson. The contents is first I'll talk about the story, and then Rachel Carson's childhood, and then DDT, Silence of Spring, women's social status. First, I'll tell you one story that's in Rachel Carson's book. There was a peaceful town, and then there was a little disaster. And then after that disaster, people and animals began to die. And people didn't know why it was happening. But they didn't notice the white powder was spreaded on their town. And first, I'll tell you about the writer who wrote this story, Rachel Carson. She was born as a daughter of Maria Fraser and Robert Murden Carson. She loved nature, starting from exploring around her family's 65,000 square meters farm. And she has written Under the Sea Wind, The Sea Around Us, The Edge of the Sea, Silent Spring, and The Sense of Wonder. As you can see, she loved nature and she wrote lots of books about nature. And she wrote Silence of Spring to point out how dangerous the powder that I explained in the before story, DDT, is. First, I'll tell you how Rachel L. Carson was able to win a Nobel Prize. And first, I'll tell you how she became the writer. First, she really loved nature. How? She was able to contact with nature at a young age. She spent a lot of time in nature with her family since childhood, as I told you before, in a farm. And then she was able to be good at reading and writing. Carson loved and enjoyed writing from a young age, and she was elected as a winner on a magazine. Then there was also family influence. Her mother taught Carson to love nature and animals, and Carson's family supported her education and academic dreams even though they were poor. And also, she had academic passion. Carson was an outstanding student in school, showing great interest in biology and ecology. Then I'll tell you a fun fact. She wrote many books about sea. As you can see, those 3 books from childhood, but ironically, when she saw the sea, her age was 28. DDT. Finally, I'm going to talk about DDT. It was first used after World War II to control malaria and typhus. It killed some arthropods and it enhanced quality of agriculture. And the person who made DDT also got Nobel Prize. But starting from one farmer's wife, lots of people died from this, just like the story I told you before. And then that was the disaster. And then I'll talk about Silence of Spring, which is the most important book Carson wrote. It was the first book that showed the danger of DDT, which is polluting the nature. And it has highlighted the importance of people living harmoniously with nature. Before she wrote this book, people thought of conquering the nature instead of living harmoniously with nature. So it was a big influence to the people who thought in that way. And she was the first one to point out how it will harm human when it begins to pollute nature according to the food chain. As you can see, the food chain, for example, if the plant is polluted, the animals who eat those trees or plants will be polluted, and then the people who we eat those animals may also be polluted. And then I'll tell you about the situation of the times when Rachel Carson was writing the books. In early 20th century, women's suffrage was claimed, and 1907 May 27th, Rachel Carson was born, and then the World War II finally ended. And in 1962, The Silent Spring was published. So it shows that Rachel was unfolding her work when women's rights were gradually rising. Then I'll talk about the quiz. First, what is the name of the book that criticized DDT?
Silent Spring.
Wow. People pay attention.
What made Carson love nature?
Contracting with nature since childhood.
Why was DDT invented, and what was the result of it?
To get rid of
malaria disease.
Is the answer of it? Silence of Spring. Her mother taught her to love nature or spent a lot of time in her family's farm, and DDT was invented to prevent disease, but it polluted nature and killed people. And lastly, I will tell you about Albert Schweitzer words. Humans do not realize the harm they have caused. And thank you for listening.